meeting to order.
Go ahead, you can
Okay.
continue this recording.
Thank you. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and I just did. And let's find out if we have a quorum. Sophia LeWitt, I
Yep.
think Sophia.
Hi.
Oh, hi, Sophia.
Oh, you can hear me? Okay, good. Hi.
How are things on the coast? Okay. Darrell, I know you're there. Grant?
Yep, I'm here, Tucker.
Oh, thank you, Grant. Mark Sacuso,
Present.
John Solomon.
He is not present.
Okay. Michael Aliano.
Present.
Okay. And Michael Gualtieri.
Present.
Thank you, Michael. How are you feeling?
I am a little sore, but I'm not sleeping.
sorry. Okay. I'm sorry. We do have a quorum. And
I will be right. I have to go to a fire call. I will be right back.
Okay. I'm sorry. Thank you for joining us to that point. I'd like to have the approval of the minutes. And what I would like to do is just go down the list as I just did to keep it moving along fairly quickly. Does anyone have any questions about the previous minutes of the last meeting?
Nope.
Okay. Michael? Are we all
Which
set on
one?
that? I'm sorry, Michael Gualtieri.
None from me.
Okay, Sophia,
Nope.
Darrell?
Nope.
Okay, Grant,
No.
Mark Sacuso, just a fire call. John Salomon, he's not here, present. And Michael Aliano.
No issue.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion.
Uh,
Darrell, I will make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay.
As
As,
Second.
may I have a second on that?
I second it, Michael Aliano.
Thank you, Michael. Okay, we've just gone through the roll call, so I'm just assuming that it's a full count. Melinda Wilson, I hope you got all of that. Do we have any community policing reports? Anything from the police department? I have had a conversation with the chief, and he's going to try to have some kind of report or person present or giving a report in the future. Harbor Master report. Do we have anything from Mr. Thayer from the Harbor Master? Anything at all, Mr. Harbor Master Richard Thayer? Oh, I have been fairly active with Mr. Thayer, and I can tell you what's going on. He's really reaching out to the state deep for information that Jeff Stedman has given to him. And he has reached out as well as to how we can get rid of this boat. It's on 60 Terminal Way that has sunk. I will say that there have been either 517 or 577 gallons of diesel fuel removed from the boat, and that was done through the Coast Guard. And a company from Long Island came over and pumped it out. Pomez is the owner of this boat is now in Peru, and we don't know too much about that, but we're trying to find out if there's money available to get this boat removed from deep. And Jeff Stedman may elaborate on that a little bit later. So I'll just move along from the Harbor Master. Any correspondence?
Yeah. Hey, Tucker, this is Mike Gualtieri. If I could just chime in for a minute. I'm sure
Yeah,
you're
please,
aware,
Mike.
but I don't know if everybody else is. There was an article in the, I think it was the Norwich Bulletin about it. Just want to make sure everybody's aware of it.
There was not. It's called the Lady Luck. Actually, it's Lucky Lady. And I don't know if we all had the opportunity to read it. I did read it. The reporter did call me, and I gave as much information as I could give to him without incriminating anyone. And but there was an article in the Norwich Bulletin, right?
It was written by the reporter Trevor Ballantyne.
Yes, it was. Yep. And Trevor is no longer with the Norwich Bulletin. He's moved on to a newspaper in the Midwest.
Oh,
Tucker, this is
Okay.
Jeff. Would you want me
Yeah,
to make some comments about this now, or is it on the agenda for later?
Well, I brought it up. I guess we can, from the harbor master standpoint. Jeff, why don't you chime in and tell us about now what's going on?
Well, we've talked to two people in deep that would have an involvement in the removal of the boat. And Mr. Zavoy, and Tucker talked with him as well. He provided us with a form whereby we can apply for funds that could be used to pay for the removal of the boat once we know the cost of that. And the form, the monies that are available are from a fund that Deep maintains with monies that are provided as from fines. When people violate the state's environmental laws, those fines go into a fund, and they can be used for environmental enhancement projects, such as the removal of a vessel like this. So he sent us the form, or an example, where there were abandoned barges removed from New Haven Harbor, and the entities removing the barges filled out that form for amount of money. But we have to know first. We have to have a good estimate, a professional cost estimate of the cost of removal. But before we can do that, there's a legal process to be followed that involves the harbor master taking certain statutory authorized steps. And to do that, we were trying to find that out from the DEP boating division, and the fellow in charge is Mr. Delgado. So Tucker and I communicated with him, but Mr. Delgado said he wanted to deal directly with the harbor master, since it's the harbor master's authorities that would be applied. So we passed Mr. Delgado's contact number to Mr. Thayer. So we assume that he's doing that. But before we can apply for the money, as I said, there's a legal process to go through involving notifications, and those are the responsibilities of the harbor master.
And
That's
he
my
is
little
in
report.
touch with Delgado. I'm sorry, someone chimed in. Hello? Hello?
I don't think anybody said anything.
Okay, great. Michael Golteri, if you could bring us up to date with the finances at this
Yeah.
point.
sure.
And thank you for coming. I know you have gone through some surgery, and I thank you very much for participating in
problem.
this evening's.
Okay, total revenue year to date, 7,000. You're gonna notice under the next section, expenditures, there's no amount for the Harbor Cam, as it was included in the December financials. So the year-to-date expense remains at 527.80. The miscellaneous was 300. I did notice professional services of $320. I don't remember us voting on anything, so I'm assuming that is the recording fees for the recording folks. Is that what that is?
I think that it is. I think that
Yeah, 'cause
we had someone other than Melinda do that recording of that meeting, and I'm not sure what that fee was,
Yeah,
Michael.
I think that
I will find.
Yeah, that may represent the last quarter of last year. So I haven't seen anything on that, but yes, you should question that, Tucker, as to what that exactly is, but I'm going to assume that's what it is.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, so total expenditures year to date, $1,147.80. Net income loss, income $5,852.20. Cash available, summary balance start of year 14,930,231. Year to date revenue 7,000 even. Year to date expenditures $1,147.80. Balance currently available 20,784.51. Restricted for harbor management plan 5,720.32. Unrestricted available funds $15,064.19. No changes to the prior ship grant.
May I have a motion to accept that financial report?
Michael
I will go right
Aliano,
down.
motion to accept.
Thank you, Michael. John Solomon is not there. Mark Sukusa has had a fire. Grant,
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
thank you. Darrell
Yes.
Sophia,
and
yes. Yeah.
thank you, sir. And Michael, of course, gave us a report, and I favor. Thank you. Thank you all very much for that consideration. Going down to new business, do we have any new business we would like to discuss? I have one piece of new business that I would like to bring up, and it's going to be tied in. I'll save it for the rowing shells. So forget new business right now. The old business. The old business is Race Coastal Engineering. And I have today received an email from Race, and what it is involving is the diving and the analysis of the pilings. And there are 13 pilings that have to be replaced. And they have to be drilled and grouted. And we have now in the ground or in the rock, 12-inch pilings. And what they're recommending is to replace it with 16-inch pilings because of the weight of the new docks or of the docks. And so that is going to, we're talking from anywhere from $14,000 to $24,000 per piling. And those are the only pilings that are regarding the docks at Howard Brown Park. And that is a total of comes to $205,000 to $369,000. The medium cost would be $232,000 based on the data that they're looking for. And they have not gone out for bid of any of this at this juncture. So that was not counted in the initial grant phase to the Port Authority. Hopefully we can have that amended. The Port Authority will amend so we can add that additional cost to that sum of money. We have, and I spoke with Josh Buthier this afternoon, that we can use the sum of money that was allotted from the city of Norwich, the 20% or $120,000. We can use that money to pay for the race cost. Now, I'm not talking about the actual replacement of the pilings, but just the actual engineering of the pilings and where they have to go. And so we can use that money to offset that cost, which is, I believe, a total of $20,000. Do we have any questions about the the pilings on this new finding that we have, which is a little bit more finite than it was at the last meeting.
It's Jeff again, Tucker, if you don't mind.
Yes, Jeff. I don't,
So we need to, I guess, well, we need to discuss this with the Port Authority with respect to the second grant. And
Right.
the Port Authority has not announced when they are going to announce that second round of grants. But the cost estimates we have now for the replacement of the pilings, there's a difference of $165,000 between the low estimate and the high estimate. So we have to discuss with the Port Authority what we base our grant request on.
right,
And so that's, I don't know how to do that. I know the Port Authority has made statements a number of times about the need to have a fairly precise estimate. So would we go with the high number and then seek, return money? But that's to be determined how we do that. And I asked,
Right.
again, Mr. Salvatore, if he and the executive director of the Port Authority could visit Norwich. I guess we're talking now about when the weather gets a little bit warmer. And I told him that we're in addition to talking about the Brown Park project, there are other projects that we're considering now. And Sophia may mention that later on in the meeting, but that we would like to have them come and discuss these other projects with us. And we have some time to do that because they haven't yet announced when the next round of grants are available. But
Right.
there will be money available. So the question with Brown Park is what number do we put in to the second grant request? And we need to
Well-
we will do that before the whole project goes out to bid.
right. Well, the amount of money that we have to pay to Race is for their findings. The actual amount of the $14,000 to $24,000 for 13 pilings, that's actually, that number is going to go out for bid. We don't know what that number is until we do go out for bid.
Well,
Once
that
we-
we have to discuss that, Tucker, because we understood from the purchasing department that they wouldn't put this out to bid until they had the funds available to do the work. And so that's why this was delayed, in order to get an estimate of what the additional cost would be and to be able to get the additional grant, or at least have that in the works for the Port Authority before going out to bid. So if they're proposing to do it a different way now, to get a cost estimate of the pilings before we have the money to actually do it, then that's a difference in the approach that we understood. So we'll have to resolve that.
Okay. Any other comments? Michael?
Tucker, I do. It's Michael Aliano.
Yeah, Michael.
I feel like this isn't the movie Groundhog Day. This be
Yeah.
coming over and over, and I don't feel like we've accomplished anything. Is it possible? Are we allowed to put a small subcommittee together to just deal with this issue? And
Sure.
because dealing with it once a month, I don't think we're going to get anywhere. I think we know what the problems are. I think what we need to do, but we just need to put someone in charge of getting this done and get it done.
Yeah, I agree. If there is if we ask for money and we have extra, can we use it towards like something related, like signage, or I don't know.
Probably not is my guess, but I don't think we're going to have too much money. It sounds like we're not going to have enough.
Yeah. True.
Yeah, it sounds like right now I know that we do not have money for the grants available.
But could this be a Port Authority small harbor grant project? Since it's public land?
Yes.
This would be part of the SHIP grant, from what I understand. We're
Yeah.
not, we're using some of the money that was appropriated from the city to keep Race moving forward.
Mhm.
But even, Michael, you want to form a committee, a small subcommittee to look at this and,
So I propose a motion that the Harbor Commission, Management Commission creates a small subcommittee specifically to deal with the dock situation at Brown Park.
Mike,
Okay.
this is Mike Gualtieri. You may want to say, when you say small, be specific with the number, say
Three.
three people. I always think three is a good number.
I propose 3 people so that, we don't have any ties. If it comes to anything, we have to agree upon in that small committee of 3 people.
I'll second it.
I'll second that. I will go along with it. All right, Michael, who do you want on the committee?
Tucker, I
I'd like to
suggest
be on-
you on your own figure out who should be on that committee, approach those individuals and just put them
Okay.
on the committee. And then just move it along and get this can kicked down the road.
Well,
Okay.
can we just see if anybody wants to do it right now? We'll get it
Sure.
done. So, yeah. I mean, I can't, I'm homebound for a couple months, so I'd love to, but I can't.
I'll be in Italy
Okay, I would like-
in March, yeah.
I'll be jealous. Tucker, it's Michael
Yeah.
Aliano. I propose you, myself, and anyone else, if someone else would like to volunteer. I'll volunteer. Tucker, I think you should be on there personally.
Yeah, I will be on it.
And I would, if someone else would volunteer, it'd be appreciated.
I'll volunteer myself.
Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, so we have 3 people.
Okay.
And when should we meet?
I think we can decide that later on.
Okay,
Agree.
And I second that motion. Mike Gualtieri.
okay.
Thank you,
Okay.
Michael.
Let's go down let's do a roll call on that. Okay, Michael, you seconded it. I'm assuming you're in favor. Sophia,
Yes. yeah.
Darrell, I heard your
Yes.
name as being on the, Grant,
Yes.
okay. Mark, he's still at the fire. John Solomon is absent. Michael, of course. Okay. So we're all in favor of forming the subcommittee and we will meet very soon. And so we can have a conclusion of this dock dilemma I don't think it's a dock dilemma. I think it's just bureaucratic crap that goes on whenever you're dealing with government. It took 3 years to get to this place where we finally got an opportunity to get a grant from the Port Authority. Although the application was done on 2019, and we're just now going with this thing. And I think that this is, it's government, I guess.
Well, Tucker, the other part of it is too, that when we prepared the grant application, we didn't realize that the pilings needed to be replaced. And the permit or the approval from DEEP to do this work did not include the replacement of the pilings. So that work had to be added. And now DACO is now applying for the additional approval from DEEP to replace the pilings. And so we talked about this with DEEP, and DEEP asked DACO to provide some additional information to help review it's the commission's application to help review that. And when I talked with the DEEP person today, she said the additional information is relatively minor, and they asked DACO to provide it by March 5th, I think. And so soon thereafter, we should expect the approval or the approval from DEEP to replace the pilings. And so that was another part of it, but that of the whole process that's hopefully by the next meeting, we'll have that additional permit to do this work.
I spoke with DACO, and that information has been sent back to I think Julia. I think that's
Yes.
that was, I had a conversation with DACO yesterday, and that information has been sent back. Okay. Now that a question came up at the last meeting, I think Michael brought it up, was what was the cost of this additional certification? And I believe it is $3,200. But when we have this subcommittee meeting, that we can figure this all out and go on from there. And hopefully that will bring clarity to the whole thing. Okay. So we need a motion to, have we already passed this motion for this committee?
I think we did that already.
The subcommittee, okay. Okay. And that make it Port Authority, that's on the agenda. I think we just discussed that. Jeff, do you have anything about the Port Authority that has not been discussed already?
No, just, in response to Michael's comments, I don't think we've lost any, hurt ourselves with this delay, because the second round of the grants but available from the Port Authority for those small harbor grants has not been announced yet. But we need to be prepared when it is announced.
Right,
And
okay.
hoping that will be in the next several months.
Okay, so we need an application to go in. Fine.
Hey, excuse me, Tucker. Jeff, is there any preparation, like, name, rank, serial number on the paperwork that we can pre-fill, and then when it's go time,
That's a
just
good idea.
complete the rest of it?
I
Can we
think
do
can
that?
start. I think we can check with the Port Authority to see that it'll be the same grant application as they used the last time. And if
Yeah.
it is, yes, we can go ahead and start filling that out. But the
Okay.
unknown is the cost number that we put in.
Yeah, I understand that. Now, Jeff, you do that for us, right? That part?
Yeah, I did the last one for the grant that we have, yes.
Yeah. Okay, and Tucker, is that what we have in mind? We're gonna have Jeff do that for us?
I think that would be appropriate. Jeff would
Okay.
do it for us.
Yeah, so
Is that okay with
Jeff,
you, Jeff?
any prep that you can get going, that I think will help matters.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Jeff?
Oh, yes. So I think we've had assurances that this is fundable, but so it's a, yes.
What,
it's a good-
just that the docks are fundable, or what's fundable?
The added cost for the replacement of the pilings.
But that's separate from the $5 million grant. The
No,
5
no,
million, small harbor.
No, it's
improvement.
part of that. The Port
It is.
Authority is authorized to spend $5 million throughout Connecticut for each of the next 5 years. So we would be applying for a portion of that $5 million as necessary to do the project that we received the previous grant to do, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough money.
But we're still eligible for those next 5 years, right? To apply
Oh,
for
yes.
other. projects, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Sophia?
Yeah,
I think that this money that we're looking for right now is for the pilings that
right.
will go. I think we're going to amend, I'm hoping amend is the right word to use, amend the application that was sent in and approved for the $544,000. And then I'm hoping that we can just amend that, the difference that we're looking for now. The Port Authority has $9 million of unspent money, and they have $25 million over the next 5 years, $5 million per year, per annum. But that's for the entire state, as Jeff stated, for the entire state of Connecticut. We're not
Mhm.
eligible for all,
Oh, yeah.
but it's all up to the Port Authority and the bonding commission to go and bond that amount of money so that they can pay it out to particularly us and to us.
Mhm.
but we're not eligible for the 9 or the 5 million per year. We're just eligible for what I would say in the interim, if we can come up with other things to spend or to enhance our harbor, the Thames River, whether it be brick-rack or whatever it may be, we should then consider getting another application in as soon as possible, so that when we do go out for bonding for the difference of the pilings, that we'll have at least another opportunity at getting more money from the state of Connecticut through the Port Authority. I agree with you, Sophia.
Yeah.
Right.
We should do.
And we were encouraged by the Port Authority to, and I know, Mike, this is the sort of thing you were talking about discussing in the subcommittee, but just quickly, we were encouraged by the Port Authority to come up with ideas for other projects. In other
And they
words, have a
see-
5-year program where that we have these other projects that are potentially fundable.
I think Jeff has some really great aerial shots of both the Shetucket and the Yantic, which I think are really helpful in visualizing what public areas could be usable or what we could apply for, just to get your imagination going, maybe. Jeff, I don't know, maybe you can send it to the group, the aerial shots. I think they're really helpful.
If I can share, can I share my screen? I don't know if Melinda.
Okay.
Oh, yes,
Jeff,
I can. I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we could do it another meeting.
Can you see my screen? Those
Yeah.
are on the computer?
Yep, I see it. Good.
And then as we zoom in, so Sophia had some ideas about trying to
Well-
extend the Heritage Walkway up the Shetucket River, up into this area. And I don't know.
But
what would be-
also this boat ramp, am I saying that right? Boat launch. The possible location for a boat launch, I don't know if this is considered the harbor, but I did drive around with Rich there, and if you see, I guess it's called the viaduct, it's this parking lot right here.
this-
Yeah, this parking lot right there. He thought that, there's just a natural grade right there at the end of it, but he thought that that would be a good location for another boat launch that is on public land, so could possibly be eligible. I just went through, this Harbor Commission plan and what the stated goals were, and, we've heard a lot about this boat, a location for this boat launch, but I thought that could be a good option. Yeah, it's just right there. And then you have all that parking, that public parking right there, which is city owned. Just an
And
option.
also, you had some ideas about how we might be able to extend the
Right.
walkway
And-
from this
Yeah.
part of the park up along here to get up into this area.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I don't know, I mean, I agree, Tucker, that it's $25 million for the whole state over 5 years isn't enough to do even half of the crazy ideas I have, but I think that there is like art money and tourism money in the state that's available. So I don't think this all has to come from a SHPO grant, but I do think that there's a couple places where it's just low hanging fruit. It's public land that's naturally graded and, could support the boat launch right there that we're talking about.
We Sophia and Jeff, are we talking the east or west branch of the Yantic?
Oh, no, it's the Shetucket.
We're
It's like-
looking at the Shetucket now, Tucker, with the photographs.
It's it's like the corner of the parking lot. It's a state parking lot.
Right.
Yeah,
This is
Okay.
what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I think he's on the phone, so he can't see it.
Oh,
I can't, I know the both parking lots you're referring to though. One is owned by the Lords and the other is the property
north.
across the,
Yeah, it's actually on that, it's not the Lord parking lot, it's actually Norwich City, parking lot. It's
At the,
Norwich
across
City,
the tracks,
I don't
Tucker,
know,
yeah,
yeah, it's beyond the tracks.
right. You know where the train, the old train station is? Opposite
yes,
that parking lot, right?
right.
You know, and that's a great idea because, you know, when you're parking pickup trucks with trailers, I don't know how many feet you need, but you need quite a big area for those folks to park and that parking lot is not used that often. That's
Exactly. It was empty when we were there. And
Yeah.
Rich said that it's like got a natural, I don't know, I really don't know any boat or water terminology, but there's a natural recess that, it's just a nice place to dip in because there's not a big current. And also that all the, because there's the dam, there's no place to launch a boat anywhere on the Shetucket, like maybe like formally, officially.
Mhm.
And then there's that dam up there, so all the baby fish get up to the dam and they stop, and so the big fish, so it's good fishing. It's good fishing down there, and there's no place to get on that river. Really.
there's a fish ladder on that dam.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
There's
and there's
also-
one, I think there's one on the next one too.
Also,
There
if I could interrupt again, the grants for the Port Authority are also available for feasibility planning and engineering prior to construction. So if we have areas that we know that the city has access to or can control, then we could pursue a grant to determine the feasibility of doing something at those areas. And that of course would be prior to a grant for construction.
But it didn't seem like a big project, and it wasn't a $25 million project. Let's just say that it seemed like an easy project that could be eligible and conforms to the harbor plan.
Yes. Do you want me to show the pictures of the Yantic, Sophia?
Yeah, so I don't know. Do you guys want to see? There's, these rowing shells. I think we're gonna get to it. Maybe, I don't know.
So, yeah,
Tucker.
yes,
Oh,
So Rich has, or I'm sorry, Jeff has these great aerial shots that you can see. You can see these locations that we're talking about. If you want to talk about the rowing shells.
okay.
yeah, I'll just,
Let's see if we,
well, this
So
is
next, I guess-
over the East Branch, looking over where the golf course used to be. And then up, going upstream. See if I can get that. Where,
if we don't not own that land.
No, it's actually, it's the land, it's right by NPU. It's that property line beyond there, right where that round building is, but doesn't
right
look-
here?
yeah, where's the top to it? Is that?
It's-
I mean,
The
It's it's deflated right now.
Yeah, it's deflated. That was weird.
But the digester is coming down, and there's going to be a whole new concept of bringing that whole north end of Hollyhock Island into an upscaled system so that it can handle all of the 17 CFOs that run into the digester at this time, that overflow, and then the excess rolls in, the excess to the Thames River, which creates a foul smell for boaters in any restaurant. be, but that is in progress, and the NPU has claimed the far end of it. There's like 18 acres there.
Yeah,
And they have moved all of the boats that Mr. Thayer was storing up there. They have all been moved off the property, and trailers have been moved in as a construction site to start the groundbreaking of this whole new system, which is like in excess of $80 million they're going to putting in there. Now,
yes.
if we can drift down to the rowing shells a little bit.
Yeah, so that's where we're looking at, is that building where the rowing shell, can you like zoom in on that? So,
Right
see
here?
that-
Is
No, this last building, so see that last building, Jeff, like,
Right
right,
here?
yeah, right, yeah. Yeah, you got it, yeah, that building on the end, for the rowing, is where the rowing shells might go, right, Tucker?
Yep, there's a building there that is referred to as the caboose. It's a yellow building.
Mhm.
And Richard Thayer has just completed, well, Thayers have completed their bulkhead up past the yellow building and then cut it back into what is now the deep. And I've taken, Rich Thayer and I have had discussions on it, and he really wants young people on the island, Hollyhock Island,
Yeah,
and we've met with Chris LaRose he's general manager of public utilities. We've met with Richard Shuck, who is in the planning department, and also Dan Daneskis, and she works under in the planning department as well. I'm meeting tomorrow with Miss Buka, and she is in control of the shells that are locked up in Mohegan Park. And Sophia, you've seen them. You had
Mhm.
been you went
They're
there.
beautiful, like Italian, they're gonna look great on the river, I think it'll be great to see kids on the river and,
Yes.
but another, if the
Let me
Port
just finish
Authority
this.
wants to give us money, there's just a little bit of land beyond. Yeah, so
It's in here.
you had
Cynthia?
it, yeah, you had it in that other shot, Jeff. Yeah, see where like that telephone pole, there's just another natural place for, it doesn't need to be a paved boat ramp, but maybe a nice place for the kids to put their boats in once they get them out of the building, but it's just another little project that maybe we can apply for Port Authority money that would enhance that experience, the rowing shell experience, if that goes through.
Now,
Tucker.
Yeah.
Now, the only question I have is in that area that you're talking about,
Mhm,
possibly could talk to Chris LaRose. He
yeah,
would have a better understanding of if any of that area over there is going to be impacted by the overall design of the treatment plant's upgrade.
Mhm.
yeah, it's really just right, there's just a natural entrance,
There's
before
about
I,
20
yeah,
There's about 20 feet of land there that
Yep.
would allow a small docking opportunity, but that is owned by Deep. We have to get the authority from Deep and not the city of Norwich, but it is municipal land. So
Correct.
it
Well,
would be
and I know that they're working, with Deep and different individuals for their projects. So just my question would be is just to make sure as we plan that there's no plan down the road as they continue their upgrade phase that it would be affected.
yeah, built right
Yeah.
there, yeah.
Well, Chris
what Rich-
Rose
yeah,
was
Rich
at the
said-
meeting.
Yeah, Rich said it was a lot, I mean, you would need a lot less of a ramp or a lawn, you wouldn't need like you wouldn't need to put a trailer, you wouldn't need to back up a pickup truck down there, you would just need to put the rowing shells in nicely, a nice place to launch,
Mhm.
rather than throwing it over the bulkhead, which is like the other option right now.
Well, the thought that I had was, as these docks are replaced
Mhm.
in front of the park, there are some of the docks that have to be torn apart, but some of those docks are salvageable. And if we could salvage 2 docks and get the okay from the Army Corps of Engineers as well as DEEP to put moorings in for these 2 docks, then you'd be going right from the land to the dock to the water. It would be a great, once you pull the boat out of this caboose building, and it's 60-foot long, it would house the length of the shells very easily, and it would get, Sophia, I fully support your idea of putting boats on the river, and also we found out that there are the kayak and canoes locked up in the Ockham Firehouse, and I failed to see where they're serving our community or our youth up there. But there have to be programs, and one of the biggest things right now with the shells is getting the shells and getting them down on the river, but also coming up with enough money to support a coach. And Lou Allen, who is the athletic director for the school system, Board of Education, is getting information from East Lyme and also from Stonington as to what their financial obligations are in the course of a year. And that would be the amount of money that we would be budgeting for. And that would be coming from the Board of Ed, the Norwich Free Academy, and also it would be a city share. And Rich there has expressed an interest in helping out any way he can with either doing the building over or leasing the building out at a reasonable rate so that we can get these shells down there. We have had conversations in the past 2 weeks on this.
Of course, any future grant would be contingent on there being, this rowing program. So obviously that comes first, but it's just an idea to mull over the next 5 years. I thought if we could make it work as like city land, it could be something we could build on that program,
And I will say, having both worked for Norwich Public Schools, but also knowing some of the programs, this is a great way for the school. They have several community partnerships with Ness, which used to do sailing and some of those things with some of our students at some of the even elementary school levels where they would travel to them. So again, this is a way for some of those grant funded program opportunities to have a space to do it here in Norwich instead of going to other communities. So this is definitely a win for the kids of Norwich.
Awesome. I'd love to see kids on the river. I think that's the ultimate goal.
Okay, well, that is in progress. Any other questions or comments?
And I think that's the example of an opportunity that we would look forward to discussing with Mr. Salvatore and the director of the Port Authority on a visit that they could make to Norwich. And we might have the idea a little bit better formulated by then in a month or month and a half. I think that seems like a real opportunity.
Good.
Okay, sounds good. Going on to the next issue, the sunken boat. I think we've talked a little bit about that previously. And I think Rich there as a harbor master has reached out to some state people, and Jeff Stedman has been kind enough to get some more names and directions. Rich there has gone to a couple of the harbor master meetings, and he's met some of the people that he has to be in touch with as to how other harbors are dealing with this, which is wonderful to have this. But I think that as time goes by and we're doing this, we should have a policy in our harbor plan. How do we deal with boats that are just abandoned? How do we deal with them? Who has that responsibility? Right now, we've reached out to the Coast Guard, and they've They really basically ignored us. We reached out to a national pumping service, and they hired finally someone from Long Island to come up and pump the vessel out, the boat out. But we don't have a policy as to boats that are just tied up there at random, and I think we should have this policy. We want to bring boats. We want to bring people in from Long Island and Block Island, Fisher's Island. We want to bring them in without people coming up the Thames River looking at sunken boats or riprap that's not properly addressed. If they're going to come into our community, we should have it look like we have are in charge of our community from the river standpoint, anyway.
Sorry
that's my
to keep
thought.
Talking, Tucker, but we do have a policy, and the policy is it's not a policy, it's a regulation that's set forth in the general statutes concerning the removal of abandoned vessels. And so
And then
that's,
4 months,
what's that?
Jeff, that boat, 4 months.
Well, that's not, but that,
We
again, there's a statutory, whatever you want to call it, process for removing boats. It's in the statutes. It involves the harbor master and the DEEP. And I forget
Yeah.
the statute number, but it's up to the harbor master and the DEP to apply what the law is. And so if a boat is
Well,
abandoned, the law specifies what has to be done, who has to be notified, and what the legal responsibilities are. Posting on the vessel, making an effort, it's all specified in the statutes. The issue was that we didn't get the direction immediately from the DEP boating, which is responsible for this. So it's not, I'm assuming that this will now be implemented because Mr. Thayer is contacting Mr. Delgado and he'll tell him what to do.
Yeah, if I could just chime in for a minute, Mike Gualtieri. So Tucker, is perhaps what you're asking is in the harbor management plan, there's a bullet item for sunken boats, see state statutes, blah, 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 like Jeff just stated. That's how the cure is made. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah.
I think that would be a reference point in which we can fall back on. I can give you an example. 2 years ago, there were 3 boats tied up at Howard Brown Park for an extended period of time. They allowed 24 hours there. We called the police department. They wouldn't touch them. We called
I
the
remember.
Coast Guard. They would not touch them. And to see, there was 1 sailboat and 2 scows. And I was fearful that the 2 scows were about to sink. And we had absolutely no recourse to get them out of there because no one would address the issue.
Right.
Well,
We-
is it like,
is-
what about, is it like a tow, like, can you just tow it and then like they have to pay to get it out?
So we can raise the boat, the Lucky Lady. We can raise that boat and float it. But what are you going to do with it?
Well,
Who's going to?
A sunken ship is different than, a loiterer or a squatter. I don't know. I think it's, obviously
Yeah.
there's recourse with one, right? You can, but is it like what with a parking lot, right? Like I contract with a third party tow guy and he tows the truck and then the boat owner pays the tow guy to get you don't have to pay anything.
Yeah.
You do. Does anybody know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Service.
So, is there such a thing in the boat on the seas, a tow truck? In
There's-
Palestine?
There's processes that can be, this is Michael Alley, and I'll just,
Yeah,
there's a process. The problem is when these boats are worthless, nobody wants to
Exactly.
tow it to their,
of course.
their,
Well, that's different. Yeah, then.
and that's what's happening is they're worthless boats. Once they've sunk, there's very little to no value. It probably costs more to recover the boat than any value in the boat. So, but I think now that we know the process, Tucker, we just need to implement that going forward.
Implement it.
So I don't think we need
Yeah.
a policy. We just need to We need to
Yeah.
make sure that the whatever the state statute is, we comply with it, do it, and
Yes.
get it done.
Yes,
Yeah,
and it's section 15-9, vessels may be removed, procedures and regulations. That's what has to be followed. And like Mike said, if there's no value and you can't recover the cost from the owner, then we know that there's a state
But
program that's
Rich
now
there is
available.
aware of this process now, correct?
Yeah,
Rich there is aware of the process, and he did
So
reach
that
out
has
to the
happened.
city. I'm not gonna say who he reached out to, but they will not return his phone call regarding the boat. They just ignore the boat. And it was a case of getting the boat out of the water and storing it somewhere, and we don't want to do it. We don't have the money to do it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Oh, I know.
so hopefully we'll get this issued, this sunken boat.
well, sounds like there's deep money.
He would need to also, Tucker, not to belabor this, but instead of just
Yeah.
calling Mr. Delgado, email him too. That's how we were communicating with him. And then,
That's correct.
and as I said, Mr. Delgado at Deep said that he wanted to deal directly with the harbor master. So we provided that
Right.
information to him.
And Rich has been in communicating with him. I was
Okay,
there when he did it.
well, then he'll know the
Okay.
process. Oops.
I think we have Jeff, you want to talk a little bit about the harbor management plan? I saved the
Yes,
last
and
for
I
you.
didn't send the work so far to Mr. Wilson and also to Grant because I was making revisions for the purpose of meeting with the DEP person next week to go over where we are and what our policies are. And one of the things that we, again, talking too much here maybe, but that's affecting this is the ongoing legal matter involving the appellate court, having to do with the issue that originated in Greenwich. And I sent to Mark and to Tucker the proposal that we've prepared. I say we, the Association of Harbor Management Commissions, for an amendment to the Harbor Management Act to clarify Harbor Management Commission's responsibilities. So what we've been discussing with DEEP, which has to approve our the update to the plan, was to include a policy that's the same policy that's been approved in the Greenwich Plan and other plans that says that the recommendations of the Harbor Commission are binding on decisions made by the DEEP unless DEEP shows cause otherwise. But that's the matter that's the subject of dispute in the appellate court now. And talking to people who listened to those arguments and were involved in the arguments, the sense is that we should not anticipate a favorable finding from the appellate court, that the appellate court is likely to uphold DEEP's position on this and therefore the need to pursue a legislative change. Mark, I mentioned, I don't know if you've had a chance to read this stuff that I sent to you with the.
Yes, I meant to email you back. I apologize. Thank you for forwarding that to me. I kind of perused it. I didn't dive into it, but I get this. I get the gist
Yeah.
of what you're talking about, that it's got to be legislatively driven rather than the courts, because the courts will always basically side with DEEP and will be kind of left on the lurch.
Well, that you're talking like the people who are in the appellate court listening to this last week.
Yeah, right.
So one of the recommendations was to discuss this with the governor's office, interestingly, to get a sense of how to proceed with the legislative initiative, with the understanding that DEEP will oppose it because it would undermine their position in the appellate court. So we're trying to set up the Stanford Harbor Commission is trying to set up a meeting with the governor's former counsel to get some guidance on this. And the Greenwich Harbor Commission chairman is going to be meeting with the town attorney in Greenwich, we hope by the end of this week. But any support we can get from legislators in the other towns would be much appreciated. At least that they understand what the issue is that we're grappling with. it affects the approval of what we've been working on for the Norwich plan. Because I don't think we want to give up it, in the plan, the authorities of the commission that DEEP is approved in other towns. Because of this ongoing case. But so next week, I'll send what we've done to Mr. Wilson and Grant. But the idea was that I'm going to continue to discuss this with the DEEP person, the Norwich plan itself, next week. That guess I've talked enough about this.
Okay, I think we may have lost Mr. Braddock.
Oh,
Oh, no.
Just look at the agenda. Was there anything else?
No, Jeff, thank you for your hard work on this. I appreciate you keeping your ear to the ground to know what's going on. Thank you.
well, you certainly understand it better than most. Anyway, thanks, Mark.
I think that was it. I think that was the last thing. Let me see if he has gotten back in. I think that was the last thing on the agenda, because we have covered everything else. So there's no other citizens for citizen comment. Do we have any other business or any other things that need to be talked about? If not, I'll entertain a motion for the adjournment then.
So moved.
Seconded, Mike Gualtieri.
All right.
Sophia,
Sophia,
thank you.
Mike,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Grant,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes, sir.
and I am a yes as well. Everyone have a wonderful evening and thank you guys again for coming on and
Thank
taking
you.
care of the business. Have a good
Thank
one.
you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.